Oh, hey, Homeworthy. I'm Laura. Welcome to my Fulton Market Loft in downtown Chicago. Come on in.
This summer, spend the hottest months of the year in style with Homeworthy as we visit the most extraordinary homes around the world. From the sun-soaked shores of the Hamptons to the classic beachfronts of Nantucket to the vibrant courtyards of Morocco, be sure to subscribe to Homeworthy's summer series to make every day feel like a vacation. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Laura Tribbett. I am the owner and principal designer of Outline Interiors in Chicago, and welcome to my loft. We are in the historic Fulton Market District in downtown Chicago. I've lived in this loft since 2017. My husband Charlie and I bought this and decided it was a good idea to move in the same week of our wedding. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. And we conducted a full gut renovation over 9 months in 2019. While I was super pregnant with our first daughter. What drew Charlie and me to this particular loft was its footprint, the views, the location, and the potential. It's really hard as a designer to buy a new home. I was looking for something that I could just rip down to the studs and start fresh. So paying top dollar for somebody else's vision wasn't really what we wanted to do. It also feels just kind of wasteful. What really drew us to this particular property was the openness. Chicago has a very typical footprint for a lot of its homes. They're very narrow, they're very long. We wanted something that was wide and square and open, and we really got that here with our living, dining, and kitchen space. It's one big square, and we love living in a square, I guess. And again, we really we love the nod to kind of the historic meatpacking Fulton Market District. We felt like we were living in a New York Tribeca loft, again, down in Fulton Market in Chicago. Welcome to our living room. So the living room for us is a really nice open space that serves a lot of functions. We have 2 girls who are 6 and 4. So this is where we watch TV, we relax. We have a nice big carpet that kind of connects the area with the sectional, as well as this kind of lounge area. And more often than not, you will find on the floor a puzzle, a magnetile castle, some semblance of Barbies and all of their various accessories. But some of the things that we did when we bought the place was we created a whole new fireplace. We are really fortunate that we have a gas starter with wood burning capability. So we built out this nice big chimney breast. We clad it with, this is actually a Philip Jeffries vinyl wall covering. We have kind of this glazed brick tile surround, which I think is a really nice pop of texture. And then for the hearth, we actually used a remnant piece from the Calcutta quartzite in the kitchen. This, I think, is really a focal point of the living room that really kind of grounds the space. This little area in front, we just call this our little lounge setup. So, back when our girls were really, really young, we would put them to bed, come out here, have a drink. That was also peak COVID time, so this was heavily utilized. We would look out at the view. And over here, we added a wet bar. Since this is kind of our main plumbing wall, it was pretty easy to do. So we have obviously a little bar sink and faucet. We have a paneled ice maker, which is my favorite. We have a wine refrigerator and then a beverage center, which houses all things Spindrift and Diet Coke, the essentials. And then this is what I call caffeine to cocktails. So in the morning, this is where my husband Charlie makes coffee. I don't drink coffee, so this is kind of his station. And then, this is where we keep our alcohol. My go-to cocktail is a French 75. I don't know how to make it, but I do know how to order it. But one of my favorite features here is we did this kind of back-painted glass tile from Ann Sachs. It's kind of in this brassy bronze finish, which ties in really nicely with the brushed brass hardware. All of the plumbing in here is from Brizo. They have a really pretty luxe gold finish. And then we did a little hammered polished nickel sink just for a little bit of sparkle. Now the other half of the living room is really more like the lounge side. This is where we really relax. We curl up on the big sofa, or if you are Natalie or Jasper, this is your jungle gym and you treat the center ottoman as a trampoline springboard. This is just the lounge 2-sectional from Crate and Barrel. For this season of our life, we don't need anything fancy, but we need something comfortable, durable, and something that's just a good value. So this is where we relax. We watch television. We have a little keyboard so that the girls can take piano lessons. I can get in there and play every now and then. But this has really morphed into how can we manage the girls' toys in a way that makes us feel sane. It makes everyone feel like everything has a space. So we have this media unit from Four Hands, which has been really great. We can kind of hide a lot of their stuff. They know where it is. And then we've got our bookshelves with a lot of Charlie's books on business and economics and finance and startups. And then we have another shelf for the girl stuff. It's not usually this clean and curated, but we're showing our best selves today. And then plants. I am a plant mom through and through, for better or worse. So you'll see kind of throughout there's a lot of plants. It's a lot of work, but we have really great light and we have really great space, and they bring me a lot of joy. All right, I'd love to show you our kitchen next. And now I want to share with you the heart of the home, our kitchen. So when we bought the place, the previous owner was like literally the ultimate bachelor. The kitchen was probably about like from the fridge here to the ovens there. It was tiny. It was black cabinetry, black granite countertop. The island had an angle. Like if you can picture it, if you've seen this, it was bad. So that all came out, and we really extended this. Like I showed you previously, we've got our wet bar kind of over there, but we're really taking advantage of this big space. One of the biggest decisions was, what are we gonna do with the cabinets? So luckily for me and Charlie, our joint favorite color is blue. So that was actually a very easy decision. For all of the decisions we had to make and all of the compromises that had to come out of this design process, the kitchen cabinetry was actually pretty easy. So we did lagoon colored cabinets from Omega Cabinetry. We've got a little bit of brass mesh in here to give a little sparkle, a little texture. One of my favorite elements is the Calcutta quartzite countertop. So this is what's called a crosscut vein. That's where you get all these like crazy squiggles. I saw this at the local stone yard years ago, and I was like, this is gonna live rent-free in my mind, and it did. And luckily when I showed Charlie, he also loved it immediately, so that was very kismet. And then we actually used the same stone, but in what's called a linear cut for all of the perimeter cabinetry. Our peninsula is massive, which we love. This kind of is our bridge between the kitchen and the living room / wet bar. So we've got the veining going here and just kind of falling down this waterfall, which I think is a really lovely detail. One of the biggest perks of this kitchen is 2 dishwashers, which sounds crazy, but with little kids, they're always doing stuff. Something is always getting washed. This has been a real game changer for us. The biggest problem is knowing what's dirty and clean, because little hands come and will do this, and then it's a guessing game. Again, we have Brizo plumbing fixtures, Lux Gold. We have the touch technology, which I really love, except when you go anywhere else, you'll be touching the faucet and it won't turn on. We invested in our appliances in this kitchen. We did exclusively Sub-Zero Wolf. So we have the convection steam oven from Wolf, the M-Series oven. We have a gas range top. We have the Sub-Zero refrigerator. And then we have a warming drawer and a microwave drawer on this side. The kitchen functions really well for us. I think part of its benefit is that it's just open to everything. So someone is cooking in here, kids are playing, someone might be watching TV, someone might be doing a craft at the dining room table, but like this is the hub of our home, and this is what we were really looking for when we were on our search for a home in 2017. We did have one challenge with the lighting in this space. Our ceiling height is 15 foot 9 inches. So these pendants are from Kelly Worsler's collection with Visual Comfort. And the standard piece comes with down rods, but the down rods were not gonna work. So they were able to pretty easily customize it with a hanging chain so that we could get the proper drop that we needed. We are a big Mexican food taco household. I will say, and with no hesitation, that I make a really amazing guacamole. So I like to make guacamole in here. I like to cook when we have the ability and the bandwidth, but right now it's a lot of chicken nuggets, it's a lot of pasta, it's a lot of mac and cheese. So over here at the range top, another big important decision to make is what's your backsplash going to be. We really wanted to have the countertop stone and that veining be the focus. So I did this just simple ribbed 2x8 tile from Ann Sachs. This is from their Savoy collection. What I love about it is because of the ribbing, when you install it in this kind of grid pattern and grout it in a similar color, it kind of just looks like a texture. And then we did a pot filler from Brizo. This is definitely like an adulting kind of moment. I'm like, oh, pot filler. But again, for mac and cheese, buttered noodles, all the toddler essentials. So the counter stools we have right now are what I would consider a low in the whole high-low design spectrum. They're from Amazon. They are a powder-coated metal. We've had these for like literally 10 years. But what's great about them is right now, again, in this season of life with kids with sticky fingers and crafts and all that stuff, they're super wipeable. And down the road, when everyone is a little bit more stable, we'll upgrade. What I love most about our home is not necessarily one particular design detail or piece of furniture. I love that each thing has a story. I remember going to the stone yard to choose the stone slabs. I remember the painstaking process of choosing our hardwood floor finish. I remember, Charlie and I going through, I think like 45 blue subway tiles to get the right one for our bathroom. So literally, like it sounds super cheesy, but each thing truly has a story. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're like kind of traumatic memories, but they are stories and they are our story when it's all said and done. All right, so now you've seen my kitchen. Let me show you the dining room. So now we are in our dining room, which is really just our dining quadrant of this big open space. And nothing too crazy here. We have a large walnut dining table. This is from Blue Dot. And some, I'm gonna be honest, these are replica wishbone chairs. They are not the real thing. But again, season of life, young kids, messy hands. We love to do kind of like small entertaining things where we'll have like 1 or 2 couples over, put the girls to bed, order in, and we just dine in. We'll open the shades. We've got sick views of the city. That's kind of our pace for entertaining and using the dining room in this moment. We did install this fixture from Mitzi. We've got a little bit of black, a little bit of brass. This is installed higher than I would typically do a chandelier over a table. But part of that is I want to preserve the view out to the skyline. I really want that to be the showstopper, and we've got such high ceilings that this can just kind of be a sculptural element in the air. And this is also where I keep a lot of my plant babies. They want to be near the window. They want to be where the sun's at. So this is where my plants live. I wish I could say I have a totally 100% consistent green thumb, but I don't. I do have the willingness and the desire. But when things get stressful, the plants are usually the ones to suffer first, unfortunately. All right, you've seen the dining room. Let me show you our guest lounge. All right, we are in probably the fan favorite room of the whole loft. So this is what we call our guest lounge. And this room actually did not exist when we bought the unit. This glass wall was not here. Our pantry that's adjacent was not here. This place was literally like a bowling alley. So we wanted to segment it off a little bit more to be more practical for us and for our family. So initially, this was my husband's office. And during COVID, that wasn't a great move because Natalie was approaching 1-year-old. She was learning how to toddle, how to walk, and she would come up in front of the glass wall and stick her face on it and kind of distract him during calls. So we decided, let's turn this into a more intimate lounge space. We added a sleeper sofa. It's just from Crate & Barrel. But when we have guests and our guest room is, full or whatever, this works as another spot where someone can sleep and have kind of their own private space. But what we love about this room is it gets awesome light. It's a really nice feeling in here. So we've got the sofa, we've got a couple of swivel chairs. The view is amazing. And this is also kind of another play space for the girls. So we use this media credenza to house extra linens for the sleeper sofa, but also extra games, puzzles. I think Mr. Potato Head is in there somewhere. And then this gallery wall is really special to us. This is kind of a focal point if you're at the dining table. So this picture was actually taken on our wedding day, and this is when we had moved in like literally 2 days prior. Nothing was set up, but it's just, it's kind of fun to see how far we've come. We've got a little picture of Natalie. Don't tell Jasper yet that she's not on the wall. We'll remedy that. And just some other nods to our time in New York, our time in Chicago. And actually, these are the girls' plants. Natalie's Swiss cheese plant here is doing pretty well. Jasper's string of pearls is, maybe making a comeback. Now, I'm not normally one for an accent wall, because I feel like if you're gonna go for something, like just go for it. But in this case, I think it actually works. We have the brick. The brick is kind of like the existing accent wall, right? But on this wall, we actually added a kind of like this shibori tie-dye vinyl wallpaper from York. And we just mounted it up here with a little bit of a piece of trim so that my wallpaper installer didn't kill me, because the top gets a little crazy with all the pipes and the corrugated ceiling. And then we added these bubble pendant sconces. These are from George Nelson at DWR, and they actually add a really nice, a nice little glow. Again, this is another place where you can bring a cocktail, you can relax, look out at the sky, and just enjoy yourself. So I think in the Tribbett household, any ottoman is really viewed as a trampoline. So we're giving the girls another fun shape and format of that. But this is a linen tufted ottoman from HD Buttercup. And then the rug is actually pretty fun. This is just from Leloy, and it's actually printed. It's like a printed cotton polyester mat. So the way that they've done it, and I don't know how they do this, but it looks three-dimensional. It looks like it's tufted. It looks like it has a little bit of patina, but it doesn't. But it's really great. It's really durable. And I think it adds a lot of warmth to the space. I mean, I think this room is another example of high-low design and really thoughtful planning being successful. So we have the high with like the bubble pendants. We've maybe got the low with, a more affordable rug. And then these side tables are pretty cool. They're actually from like a McGee & Co. Target collaboration a few years back. But it all works together, I think. And again, this is literally most people's favorite room in the space. I think what really makes a home come alive is the personal touches. So for us, those personal touches have really evolved over the last 6 or 7 years. We've welcomed 2 daughters into our world. And so what used to be, maybe some more adult aesthetic things are now, we've got, a wall of kindergarten art. We have Tony boxes on the shelves. We've got stuffies everywhere. There's usually a Magnetile village, living on our carpet, and, do not disturb. That has to stay intact. So for us, that's our reality, and that's our story, and that's our family, and I think that's important. All right, now that you've seen the guest lounge, I'm really excited to show you the powder room. Come on. All right, now we are in the jewel box of the loft. This is our powder room. So you may have seen this print, this fiddly fig print on some pillows in our sofa, and that was not a coincidence. It was intentional. The story here is, I love fiddly fig trees. Everyone loves them. They're hard to keep alive though, and I've killed definitely like 10 plus in my career. But when we were planning our wedding, I found a stationary print in this pattern called Fig Life. The designer is named Christian Howell. I bought 1 million of these wrapping paper sheets from her and used them in our invitations. They were on our, tabletop decor. They were in the flower girl buckets. I even had her printed on fabric and had a robe made for me for like getting ready. So this is a very special print to us. It just really evokes a lot of positive vibes and really happy memories. So that is kind of how I get my fix of fiddly fig without having to worry about the maintenance. But everything else is pretty simple. We have just kind of like a simple washstand from RH. Again, we have the Brizo Lux Gold plumbing fixtures. I do love the tile. This is a concrete tile from Popham Design. I just love the graphic nature of it. And then this is, I'm from Minnesota, and I saw this print at a boutique called the Golden Rule in Excelsior, and I thought it was kind of fun. It's like an eye chart, but kind of a nice nod to my hometown and my home state. And we did trim out the powder room a little bit differently than the rest of the place. So in here we did a black baseboard, a black ceiling. The door on the inside is also painted black, just to make it feel really crisp and really different. A powder room is a place where you can definitely take risks. You can do something that feels totally different from the rest of your home, and make it be like a welcome surprise for your guests. All right, welcome to the entry of our home. We have a lot going on behind me, as you can probably tell. Living downtown in a loft, in a condo, I think a lot of people can relate to storage being, at a premium. We call this our urban wall garage. So actually, fun fact, this building used to be a bicycle tire factory. So some people think that we installed our bikes as an homage to that. That wasn't really the intent. It was like, hey, we gotta find a spot for our bikes to go. So we mounted Charlie's bike. This is my bike. Her name is Pineapple. I don't ride her often. That's why she's up so high. But this is honestly like a functional storage place for us. We've got helmets. Natalie's basketballs are there. This is where Charlie keeps his skateboard collection, and we've even incorporated a little charging station for the boosted boards. And then this is our most recent addition. So parents of small kids who have an affinity for art can relate. They come home with a lot of stuff. So this is really a revolving installation featuring art created by Natalie and Jasper. So they love to pick out what are their favorite things. We pin them up, and every so often things get switched out. And then this is another kind of focal point. So when you enter our home, this is kind of the first thing you see. These are actually like painted slices of tree rings. I got these probably 12 years ago on Etsy. The colors coincidentally work with our kitchen because I bought these before this house was even a consideration. But again, my love of plants. So we've got a nice ZZ plant here. This is a good low maintenance plant for all you wannabe plant moms and dads out there. I highly recommend a ZZ or a snake plant. It's always good to have an entry console near your front door, a place to kind of drop your keys, drop the mail. Usually there's like a bunch of sunscreen here. It really just depends on the season for what's here for our family. Flanking our installation of tree rings, we have these kind of fun oil rub bronze sconces. These are from Hudson Valley. So that was kind of a fun addition, especially at night, to come in and have a little glow. Okay, I am really excited to show you our primary bathroom. This is definitely one space that people don't normally see, but when they do see it, they're like, wow, that is so cool. As a reminder, the previous owner was, again, the ultimate bachelor. So the previous primary bathroom was very sad. It had a single vanity that was like a concrete sink. It had a lot of slate tile. It was very dark. It was very small. I think there was actually a sauna that wasn't really functional that we ripped out. So there was a lot of room for improvement. We kept the plumbing mostly in the same place. When you work in a loft, you have a lot of restrictions. Unless you're besties with your neighbor below you, you really are not moving your plumbing. We were able to create a really nice long double vanity here. We have a 7-foot wide floating vanity from Ultracraft. This is in their walnut thermofoil finish. And then we just did some polished nickel knurled pulls. All of the plumbing in here is waterworks. We really wanted to invest in the plumbing in our primary bath. We wanted it to feel like an escape. We wanted it to feel like you're going to some sick hotel in a crazy location. And the timing was great. We did this right before COVID, so then we were all home for, God knows how long. The countertop we did here is one of my favorites. This is another natural stone. This is called Joya. All of our bathrooms, we invested in radiant heat. in the flooring. And that has been probably one of the best decisions we made. Our girls have figured it out, and I don't know if this makes them geniuses or bougie or maybe both, but in the winter they will lay their clothes out on the floor in here the night before, and then the next morning on a cold February day, they'll put on warm clothes. Genius. One of the things we did have to do, we wanted to have a tub. We knew, we were pregnant, we were having a baby. We knew we needed a tub for our family. And that is why we have this step up. The step up allows the pitch from this drain to make it over to our main plumbing wall. So aside from it being like, oh, that's kind of a cool change in plane, it was really kind of, born out of function. But this, I think, is really the showstopper of the bathroom. This is a tub from Bain Ultra, so it has all these bells and whistles that we don't honestly use day to day. It has, thermomasseur and heated backrests and all that good stuff. And then we have the wall mount Henry faucet from Waterworks. The decision to tile all the surfaces kind of came out of our desire to have a steam shower. So when you install a steam shower, you need all of the surfaces in there to be water repellent. So when we did that, we started to kind of think about, well, where does the tile start and stop? We love tile, we love the color blue. And so here is where we did the ultimate in high-low design. We went high with the Waterworks plumbing fixtures. We needed them to function, to last, and to look amazing. They're the jewelry of the bathroom. But then with the low, we found this great tile from Floor & Decor. And we needed about, I think we needed close to 1,000 square feet to do all of these surfaces. So it really made sense in the budget. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to achieve the design. Once we're up here on kind of this tub platform, it's a direct access into the double steam shower. Again, the platform allows us to have a lot more flexibility with the plumbing and with the drain without having to disrupt your neighbor below. So in here we have a steam shower from Mr. Steam. We've got all the Waterworks plumbing fixtures. We have body sprays, an overhead, a hand shower, and a double niche. So something for everybody. Another moment in home ownership when you feel like I've truly arrived, I am an adult, is when you have a private room for your water closet, AKA a toilet closet. We just installed a simple pocket door. It minimizes the swing getting into the way of things. Nothing super exciting in here, but we did install this fun geometric wallpaper. This is from a harem. And one of my favorite things to do is to wallpaper the ceiling, AKA fifth wall, because why not? So in addition to the tile and the plumbing fixtures really bringing it with the decor and the color and the interest, the decorative lighting fixtures are also here for that function as well. So these two sconces over our vanity are really kind of doing dual function. We've got up-down lighting, which is perfect in our case. We have this tall ceiling with the blue tile. I wanted to illuminate that going to the ceiling, but then we also need the light down here at the vanity when you're trying to, do your makeup, do your hair, whatever. And then this picture. I don't know if this really puts out a ton of light for us, but we have such a big space. We needed something to kind of fill it. So this is a fun black metal enamel fixture from Rejuvenation. So I think about my career path in kind of two phases. One is pre-outline interiors and one is post. I graduated from Texas Christian University with a Bachelor's of Science in Interior Design. After that, I moved straight to New York. I lived and worked there for about 8 years. I was really blessed to work under a lot of incredible top talent. I worked for Bill Georges, David Easton, Sean Henderson, and Thomas Yule Hansen. My husband Charlie and I met while just living, working, dating in New York and decided to move to Chicago. I worked for a boutique residential firm here for about a year, and then I kind of just got the bug to start my own thing, be the boss, be able to kind of call the shots on who I wanted to work with, how I wanted to work, and what I wanted that that final product to be. So I started Outline Interiors in 2015, and she just turned 10 years old this year. Welcome to my primary bedroom. So the biggest shift in this space, I think, is the wall color. This is Salamander from Benjamin Moore. It's a really dark green, has some kind of black, blue undertones. And this was a decision. We wanted to do something a little bit darker and moodier in the primary bedroom. This space, when we bought the loft, was massive. Again, the previous owner, single guy, didn't really put a lot of thought into the layout and didn't have the same needs that we did. So we were actually able to reduce this bedroom size, adding a whole separate bedroom for our girls and still have enough space for ourselves. So in here, we decided to go darker and moodier to make it feel a little bit more cozy and just a little bit different from the rest of the space. Something that I like to do with clients when they feel like, I can't do a dark color in my bedroom, it's gonna feel too sad and too scary, light bedding. I always do a crisp white duvet. Our bedding is from Ralph Lauren and Matuk. White bedding can make a big difference. It really brings in a lot of light and it allows you to accessorize however you want. I always like to do a little quilt at the end of the bed. This one is from Hay. We've got a nice big lumbar pillow from Schumacher. And then we have a really simple rug. This is just from Laloy. Again, high-low. Nothing in here is super, super high, but we like to kind of mix and match to get the ultimate aesthetic and the ultimate price point. We did install a couple of sconces here flanking the bed. These are from Cedar and Moss. Our bedside tables are actually something that we found in Nolita back in our New York days, and they made the trip. So those are like, I don't know, 15 years old. And then the lighting. We have suspended track lighting throughout the whole unit, but in here we did a chandelier. I believe this is from, I think this is from Hudson Valley. But we like the sculptural quality. We like that it's a little bit edgy, and I like the dark finish on it. Over here, we kind of have a little lounge area. So we have a bookshelf where we keep a lot of our books and kind of mementos and organizational needs. And then we have a couple of swivel chairs. These are four-hands, but I actually found them at Home Goods. So hot tip, the Home Goods in Lakeview, get some good stuff. We have a leather ottoman from Article. And then, you know, if any of you went to fancy schools like the University of Virginia, like Charlie did, you can get these cool chairs. So that's a little homage to his alma mater. And then my little paintings. These are like some of my most prized possessions. These are by an artist named Michael Abrams, who works out of Vermont and is a good dear friend and is so, so talented. He made these for me a long time ago, and I really cherish them, and I think they work really well in the space. Home, to me, means a place that is comfortable and a place where you feel safe. I think in today's world where things are so uncertain and can be, you know, not so great, we are really blessed and really fortunate to have a place where we and our children feel safe. I asked our 6-year-old daughter recently, what's your favorite place? And she said, home. And that just made me feel really good because there's so many other cool places like the trampoline park or the playground or whatever that she could have said. But for her, being at home with her things and her people and in her surrounding is her place. And that makes me feel like I did a job well as a designer and as a parent. All right, Homeworthy, it was a blast showing you around our Fulton Market loft today, but I gotta go. I got other people's homes to design. I got a couple camp pickups. I will see you later. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.